Greetings everyone, XxFroBroxX from Team One Trick here, and today we'd like to present you with Cube-Lock deck building post-nerfs February 2019. Cube Warlock is a deck that evolves around cheating out big demons very early in the game, and then copying these effects with cards like Faceless Manipulator, Prince Taldaram, and of course Carnivorous Cube, which gives the deck its name. In the tier lists, it places in the mid to high tier 1 on the various lists available on the web. And it has quite a lot of good matchups, so it's an excellent deck against all ranges of Paladin, Priest. It's very good against Mecha'thun and Reno Warlocks. It's also good against Odd Warrior as well as Spell Hunter. It does have its fair share of bad matchups though, such as Master's Call Hunter, Mage decks, and specifically Kingsbane Rogue and even Shaman, which are two of the most popular aggressive decks in the meta. As for your neutral matchups, Odd Rogue and even Warlock are your 50-50s. We're featuring 3 lists in this guide today, the first being Nicolena's Cube-Lock, which she took to number 3 legend. This is a build that is teched for an aggressive meta, so it's running Sense Demons to guarantee that you can get that Void Caller, to get that Void Lord or Mal'Ganis up really early to mess with your aggro opponent. There's also a Gluttonous Ooze to deal with the rogues. There's a Mistress of Mixtures just to help you with some nice trades, gain a bit of extra life. This is one of the most currently successful builds of Cube Warlock. The second list we have is XxFroBro's list, and his list is a little more teched against the control side of the meta. So you'll notice that there's a Prince Taldaram in here to kind of play the role of a third Faceless Manipulator in a way. There are also Mortal Coils for extra draw, just to ensure that you can draw quickly into the cards you need, as opposed to using Sense Demons. We have Mortal Coil as a substitute. So this is another very powerful list, which XxFroBro piloted to legend. And then we have a bit of a meme list, but definitely a fun one. And this is what Roffle brought to the Wild Open 2019. It's a Barnes Cube-Lock. So you can see we have the Barnes in there, and because of that, we've got to be a little bit careful of what low-cost minions we have. So we don't have the Mistress of Mixtures. We don't want to pull those off Barnes. You need the Kobold Librarians for the draw and to give you nice file clear, so they have to be in there. But the greed comes in at the late end because Barnes, so you've got Emperor Thaurissan, Sylvanas Windrunner, Ragnaros the Firelord, and this is just a super fun build. There's also N'Zoth the Corruptor, which Nicholena runs as well. N'Zoth bringing back the Sylvanas is crazy. Even Spirit Singer Umbra and Sylvanas can be crazy. It's a super fun list. Obviously not the best of the 3, but probably the most fun of the 3. So if you want to take on the task of building your own Cube Warlock, these are some core cards you're going to want to include in the deck. You're going to want to include your Dark Pack. This is necessary to kill off your own cube so that you get those extra 2 copies of the minion that it destroyed. Kobold Librarian is excellent for draw, it's excellent for file clears, it's a nice body for trading, very versatile card. Defile and Hellfire are all very powerful Warlock board clear tools. Lesser Amethyst Spellstone is very powerful. Again, it can do 3, 5, or 7 damage to a minion, depending if you've taken damage from cards in your deck, such as Kobold Librarian and Hellfire. Void Caller is probably one of the most broken Warlock cards in Wild. It's kind of the Barnes of Warlock. Just being able to pull your big demons early is insane. It can be game-winning on the spot sometimes. And of course, the whole point of this deck, Carnivorous Cube, being able to destroy a minion, preferably a big demon, and then being able to bring back 2 copies of it. Really powerful card. The late game core cards you're going to want to have are the Doomguard, so you never actually play Doomguard from hand, very, very rarely. You always want to pull your Doomguard off your Void Caller off your Skull of the Man'ari, which is also very core to the deck. Skull of the Man'ari isn't as good as Void Caller, but it is basically a redundant effect, giving you essentially kind of 2-3-ish Void Callers. Faceless Manipulator is amazing to faceless manipulate sometimes your cube, maybe your Mal'Ganis, maybe you queued into a big priest who got a statue off their barns. You can faceless manipulate their statue if you're running N'Zoth that goes into your res pool. Just really versatile card. The big boys, Mal'Ganis and Void Lord, are just insane. And then of course Bloodgriever Gul'dan. If for some reason you haven't already won by cheating out big demons, you can just bring them all back, making it very difficult for your opponent to try and deal with the second wave of demons. Some recommended cards that you might want to include in the deck. Sacrificial Pack, we're putting this as recommended. Dark Pack usually is enough to do the job, but if you just want to play it extra safe and make sure you have that tool to deal with killing off your Void Caller or killing off your, mainly killing off your Void Caller, Sac Pack's a really nice one to have. It's also very useful in mirror matches, being able to take out your opponent's Mal'Ganis, take out your opponent's just other difficult minions that are in your way, just to give you that edge to win. Mistress of Mixtures is an anti-aggro tool that you may or may not want to include. Prince Tal'Daram is an anti-control tool. Prince Tal'Daram is very good against Big Priest. If they get a Barnes on 4, you can kind of reduce the high roll potential of that combo. Spirit Singer Umbra, it's a little slow, but if you're in a slow meta, it's very, very powerful. If you manage to have it stick, you usually win the game the next turn with all the combos you can do. But even late game, playing Spirit Singer Umbra with a Void Caller, or eating something with a cube and triggering the Death Rattle can just be game defining. N'Zoth is an anti-control tech. Again, considering you're running Void Lords, you're running, in some cases, Mistress of Mixtures, your Void Callers, you can bring them all back with N'Zoth. Not as powerful as Bloodgriever Gul'dan, but again, it does give you another backup or opportunity against a control deck. Then we have our tech cards. So as mentioned, Mortal Coil, it's a draw engine card. It's also particularly good against aggro decks. So just if you want to get, if you want to deal with a big minion, or just an awkwardly statted minion more efficiently. Gluttonous Ooze is great if you're queuing into a lot of rogues or if Alaneth mages are causing you problems. Sense Demons is an anti-aggro tool. It's also considered a tutor, just to guarantee that you get your Void Caller, or just to guarantee you get your Void Lord to pull out of your Void Caller. Barnes is fun if you want to play the high roll game with cube lock. Emperor is a consideration just to reduce the cost of your cards, just to kind of speed things up a little bit. Excellent in a slow meta. Sylvanas is also great in a slow meta, and if big priests are causing you a lot of problems, Sylvanas Windrunner can help get around a lot of those issues. Rag is another very greedy card you may or may not want to include. You don't have to have the Barnes if you want to put the Rag in. You could just, I tried putting the Rag in myself. It's pretty fun when it works. It's a consideration. Now, when it comes to mulliganing for this deck, in general, you want to keep the two most broken cards of the deck, Void Caller and Skull of the Man'ari, because you want to get those big demons out of your hand as quick as possible. Against aggressive decks, you'll want to keep your board clear, such as Defile and Hellfire. You'll also want to keep Sense Demons if you're running it in your deck, and you'll want to keep Lesser Amethyst Spellstone, not just for the board removal, but also for the heal. Against control decks, you've got to be careful about who your opponent is. Against a Warlock, you'll want to keep Kobold Librarian, just to give you some extra draw, just to give you that extra edge just in the mirror as well. You'll want to keep Prince Tal'Daram and Faceless Manipulator against priests and warriors, Again, here we are assuming that our opponent is an odd warrior, so these are 2 cards that can help push you in favor. And versus Druid, considering how Druids are so slow in the current meta, Carnivorous Cube is usually a safe keep. They don't have a way to deal with it since they don't typically run Silence. Cards like Naturalize, they're not going to be able to use it on your cube, so it's a game-winning card in some cases on turn 5. So we hope you enjoyed our deck building guide to Cube Warlock in Wild. If you enjoyed this content, you can support our team by clicking that subscribe button below, and you can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/team1trick. So until next time, we hope to see you again.